My name is Hannah Storm, and I'm so excited to interview my friend Josh Luber. He's an amazing pioneer, as we all know, and we collaborated on a Hulu documentary series a couple years ago called Grails, with all of Josh's incredible expertise in shoes, collectibles, and just what makes the world go round. Basically, what are people willing to pay for and buy? So, Josh, tell me about the name Ghostwrite and where you came up with this latest business.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for doing this. It's great to see you again. And I think everyone should know that a huge part of Ghostwrite's history came from that day with you and I, because the documentary was about Eastside Golf, and Eastside Golf became the first ghost that we ever created. It became the third ghost that we ever sold. And so you have your own footprint in this business itself. So thank you very much. And that's why we asked you to do this. This wasn't a random thing. Obviously, we're getting to the topic. You're also, the expert on this topic as well. But anyway, and this kind of gets to the idea, right? We're going to talk about WNBA, but we've made ghosts of Eastside Golf. We've made ghosts of the NBA basketball. We've made ghosts of fashion designers. The name Ghostwrite is based on the ethos of these are collectible toys that tell other people's stories, right? We are the ghostwriter for them. A ghost is a blank canvas, right? A ghost has no face, it has no gender itself. It's whatever shape it takes, it's whatever skin it takes, and that's what this product is. And it's an interesting place to be as a product to be able to work with all the greatest brands and commerce and artists, etc., including, as we'll get into, with WNBA players. So Ghostwrite is about that.
I love, obviously, now it seems ghostwriting, right? That kind of explains the whole thing. And that's really a ghostwriter, someone being a vehicle to amplify someone else's story. Why did you feel that that was an important ethos for this new company?
Yeah. My background, having started StockX and then running Fanatics Collectibles, which is the trading card business there. All these products are very similar. They're all products that are supply and demand driven. They're all products that are based on collectability and resellability. And the through line of all of this is the intersection of culture and commerce. And so for us to go and create a brand, we wanted to be able to create a brand where we can have the widest aperture into that lens. And there's been a couple brands that have tried this, that have tried to create a blank canvas collectible toy. And we get to sort of take all the learnings from StockX and trading cards, sneakers, and apply it to this other industry. The collectible toy industry, it's big enough to matter. It's big enough to work with all the most important brands, but it's not so big that it already has the monolith that sneakers and trading cards have. So it's very much a part of the natural evolution of my history.
Josh, when you talk about your history, not only as a businessman and a groundbreaking entrepreneur, but on a personal level as a collector, were you a toy collector?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, I kind of wish I was more of one. I am, well, hell, I'm 46 years old. I grew up with Transformers and G.I. Joe and He-Man. And, my mother, never let me have toys that had guns and were fighting. I always wanted G.I. Joes and couldn't have them. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, like my whole career is kind of just all the products I wanted to own as a kid, Air Jordans and G.I. Joes and toys. And, we're the generation that gets to go create those brands that we grew up with and wanting to do. We're that consumer creator generation.
Where do toys fall into the collectible industry?
So at StockX, we started with sneakers, but we were always looking for what other products might make sense to add to the site. And so in 2018, we added collectible toys, starting with a brand called Bear Brick and starting with Cause and all the figures that he created. And almost overnight, we became the largest reseller for collectible toys because it was an industry that was big enough to matter, but not so big that it already had its own marketplace. It's had its own distribution. So I think, we really helped grow that industry. But the same thing, it's always sort of been there under the surface because it touches this intersection of culture and commerce. I mean, there are bear bricks that Chanel has made. There's a bear brick of Karl Lagerfeld, right? This isn't just kids' toys, and it's not the sits in a high fashion crossing over with it. So it's always sort of been there, but it's never really been as big as these other industries.
Are you able to tell, even though this is a brand new business, are you able to tell how much it's hitting, like how much it's resonating with collectors?
Yeah, well, as we discussed, the first ghost we ever made was Eastside Golf, and it was August of 2023. And we made ghosts for a year where we didn't sell any of them. All we did was make ghosts for our friends and family, promotionally, one-offs, ghosts that we wanted. And it was all just brand building. That first one with Eastside Golf, we made 40 of them. They were actually tee box markers for Eastside Golf's inaugural golf tournament. So we had a puck that was on the bottom. They were on the course. And after the course, the players took them and gave them to, but we didn't sell any intentionally. So I think there's a pretty good groundswell within the community, within that sort of like StockX hype economy world of people that know about ghostwrite. And now we get to start releasing them. And now we get to start working with some of the larger licensees that we get to actually grow and scale the business.
Like the WNBA. Why partner with the WNBA in particular?
At Fanatics Collectibles, we created a pretty large business based on licenses and relationships with the NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL. So when I left to start ghostwrite, we already had those relationships with the people that control the licenses. So we were very fortunate to be able to go and have licenses. And so we licenses with the NBA, with the WNBA, and with Major League Baseball.
How did you choose which players to feature?
This is the difference between trading card sets, which have every single player. It's a piece of paper. You can print millions of them, and a physical collectible. I mean, I'm holding here. Here's Sabrina, and it is a physical product. So there's only 16 players in each set. But the idea is that this is a collectible set that will have every year, so collectors can collect each year. So we had to choose only 16 players. And in fact, we ended up choosing only 12 active players. So there's only 12 active players in each set. So you can't possibly get them all. There were a couple that were obvious. We weren't going to possibly have a set without Asia Wilson, Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese. But then we wanted to have a mix of some rookies, some superstars, some retired players. And what that means is that there's certain players that got left out. And look, the way the playoffs unfolded, not having Nafisa Collier in the set, like that's on us. But it's great because it means that next year we get to come back and she gets to be the star of the set. And it'll be the first time that she's in the set. So it'll make that set more valuable and she'll be the big chase element there. So, this is how we will figure out on a year by year basis to have superstars. We want to have rookies because this works like trading cards where you have the rookie ghosts. So this is the first year that these players are part of it. But that's also a great thing of working with professional sports leagues where there's so many great players to choose from.